Unmute. Hello, everyone. Let me know if you can hear us loud and clear. Welcome to the pregame live stream episode of Habs Digest with myself and Jesse. Hope you guys are all having a great day. We got a lot to talk about today, so when you guys get a chance, if you can send in the chat, if you can hear everything, give us a big thumbs up, something like that. We'd really appreciate it. And Jesse, let's just start off by getting everyone to hit like on the stream, because as you guys know, when you hit like, it really pushes us in the algorithm, pushes us out to a lot of other people. And if you guys want other Habs fans to help find us, hey, we'd really appreciate it. And also, reminder, 58% of you watching are not subscribed. Anyway, we're going to open the stream with that. But Jesse, how you feeling after that game last night? I know we're going into a back-to-back today, but you got to think the Habs are just beaming with confidence today.
I'm feeling good, and it's so nice when you got players that you're just excited to see play, night in, night out. So that's what I'm looking forward to. It's a back-to-back, but this is feeling like a winnable game, and it's definitely with Slaf right now. It's you have to feel like that was so amazing for his confidence. And I almost kind of like that he's not having too much time to really have to think about the next game. It's really okay. Let's just get right back into it. Just continue building upon those really great habits. But it's just so nice when it's just, you got those players, you're just excited to just see play the game of hockey, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's just so exciting again to see all these young guys, especially working their way up. It's really been amazing. I'm gonna take a look through chat. We see George, the super fan. Can I get a shout out to George for everyone in the chat? Just give a thumbs up to George. Shout out to you. It's amazing how quickly he's learning year after year. Absolutely got you guys. Yeah, congratulations on 9,000. Thank you guys all for 9,000. By the way, we're on the road to 10,000 now. We're so close. We've gained so many subscribers over the past little while. So if you haven't, help us hit 10,000. We'd love if you guys can help us hit 10,000 subs. Really appreciate it. Yeah, but we got some comments here. A lot of people talking about Slaf. We hear you. All is good. This is awesome. We see, yeah, and I mean, Slaf has not only the most games played and points in the 2022 draft, but he's also one of the biggest players with a huge future. And I think that's a good point, Jesse. I think people seem to forget that Slaf doesn't even have a full season's worth of games under his belt yet. And that's absolutely insane. The dude has, 66 career games played? The fact that he's 19 and we've seen the jump from game 0 to game 66, if he was fully healthy last year, there's a real chance we would be seeing this somewhere like March. But instead, we're seeing it this year. How impressive is it in the relatively few amount of games played that he's made the strides that he has?
It's really impressive. And it's just such a great reminder sometimes of that we're actually right to be patient when it comes to these type of things, that there's lots of players, right, where it really takes that time to really develop. As we saw, we were visited, by the LA Kings recently. It's we see these players that it takes long to develop. Even with Byfield, people are saying oh, he's a bust, everything else. Look at how well he's playing now. It's these nice reminders when we see these players turning the corners that we really can't be quick to judge. That it's the general manager for the Montreal Canadiens, and Jeff Gordon, it's not like they're just going into the draft and just really picking anybody. It's we don't understand how much time they're really putting in. They've seen Juraj Slafkovsky play a lot more hockey than we have. They're trying to really make these informed decisions, right? So it's so nice to see when we see these decisions kind of paying off, and it just takes a little bit of time sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna adjust this a little bit. Bear with me, guys. But the thing with Quinton Byfield, Jesse, you made a great point. There was a stat shown on ALDS showing the comparison between Byfield and Slafkovsky in their first 65 career games, and they were almost identical. And on the same vein as that, Byfield already had AHL experience and had been playing in North America for his whole life before that. So comparing these two guys, and look where Byfield is now, he's a nearly point per game player and a physical force. It's really phenomenal. I'm going to show some of the stuff from last night. I got a few things. We got Slafkovsky also said he took fighting lessons from Arber Xhekaj, but quote, yeah, but to be honest, as soon as it started, I blacked out. Then I didn't really think of anything going forward. And I think that was a little obvious. Clearly, he had never been there before, but you got to think he's going to be having maybe a couple more after getting the taste for it, the taste for blood. Maybe he'll be going back. I'm also going to toss this up. The game scores from last night. You see Slafkovsky is towards the middle, even though I would say he was probably their best player. His penalty hurt his value a little bit, taking a minor penalty and taking a fighting major, but at the same time, he was really good. And you see Kovacevic up there, Suzuki, and look at Caufield as well. 9 shots on goal. Pearson in the limited time, he is up there too, but now he is injured as well. He's not going to be playing. Overall, Jesse, last night, what do you think this does for the confidence of this team? Because so far this season, Montreal on back-to-backs, I think we're 5-1 or something on the first game of back-to-backs, and 0-4 with, I think it was a combined score of 19-5 or 19-6 against on the second game of back-to-backs. So, like, you need a game like last night to really lift your spirits, especially if you're Slav, to head into this game again. Like, Montreal's coming off a big win, Nashville's coming off getting pounded by the Leafs yesterday. You got to think this is going to be an intense game, and I feel like the Habs' confidence has to be just through the roof right now.
The confidence has to be through the roof, but what I think is also really big going into this game is that the maturity is growing. Because I know I'm not the only Habs fan that probably caught what Martin St. Louis said to his Habs bench, during that third period when things were kind of going awry a little bit. He told them, in other words, just to wake up, right? Like asking for more accountability. Like they had that 2-goal lead. They had kind of blown it, getting the game tied right back there. And it's like, I just like to see that he's asking a little bit more. Like, this isn't the side that we've normally seen of Martin St. Louis so much. And like, no, we weren't able to get that goal to kind of win in regulation, but we won it eventually. And that's what counts, is the team responded to what, Martin St. Louis was asking. And quite frankly, like, I'm happy that Martin St. Louis is asking a little bit more of this team right now. He's asking a little bit more of Slav. There's been a little bit of that tough love we've seen, but like, doesn't a lot of this kind of make sense where we've seen him like, we're questioning the past, like, oh, he puts him on like the first line only to take him off thereafter. And we're like, oh, why isn't he running them more and getting them more chance? And it's like, turns out Martin St. Louis obviously had a plan for this whole time. Play with them. Now know where you need to bring your game to. Now you've experienced playing these players. This is where you need to get your game at. This is what you need to work on. Get back to the drawing board. The plan is full well the whole time. Get you right back there playing. And it seems like he's had this plan. And like Slafkovsky responding right now is showing that Martin St. Louis' development and a lot of like this one-on-one sort of approach that he's had of kind of speaking with him directly with a lot of the game. Like, it's working. It's soaking in the game. Like, Slafkovsky is Martin St. Louis' like hockey pupil right now. And, like his development is very much going to be linked to, Martin St. Louis' ability to coach him.
Yeah, for sure. And that's a very good point as well. Marty has done, like you said, there have been so many question marks along this journey as to, oh, was this the right decision? Was this not? And a lot of the answers for us was just like, hey, have faith in Marty. And clearly he did something right. And like you mentioned, he was on the first line and then not. I saw some theories, like, I wonder what you guys think, and everyone in the chat, what you guys think. Do you think that maybe Slav playing on some lower lines was to maybe teach him a little more about having to fight with a little more grit, maybe forecheck a little bit more, work on the board battles a little bit more, as opposed to just be, gifted this first line thing? Because he's worked his butt off. He has really improved in a lot of physical ways. So maybe that could be a thing too. I'm going to change the light, and because I saw someone say I was ghostly, I literally looked whiter than the wall behind me, so I changed that. We're going to have a look through the chat as well. We saw Slav whiff on what should have been a tap in an open net earlier. Yeah, I saw that for sure. His shooting is going to come, like we said, doctor shot. People like players, Bedard can just enter the league after being drafted and dominated the norm. Yeah, and not the exception. Let's see, Slav is working with the guy who made pass to the shooter he is, exactly. Hey guys, I'm a very big fan of this channel. I love the content you guys bring every day. I hope this channel goes somewhere great. Well, we hope so too. Thank you, Zen Mysterio. Really appreciate it. Appreciate all you guys, of course. Like, hitting that 9,000 sub mark is so amazing, and it's all, like, I know, we say it's all you guys. We love making the content, bringing it to you every single day, but if we didn't have the fans, where would we be, right? And the thing is, like, the reality is, like, almost half of our subscribers, like almost 4,000 or 5,000 people every single day from our subscriber pool come to us. It's really just amazing. There's a lot of chats here. I feel so bad for Anderson, but after Galley, Josh is still my second favorite player. I hope things change. George got some interesting favorite players. I like that. Going for the grit with Anderson and Gallagher, Jesse. Before we transition to maybe a bit of trade talk, let's talk a bit about Gallagher and Anderson. A couple of guys who, well, Gallagher started the season a little more hot, not so much Anderson, but they've been a little snake bit over the last little while. Do you think that their game's going to eventually come? Do you think they maybe need a switch up in lines, or what do you think is the key to unlocking Anderson and Gallagher?
It's a great point. I think with Gallagher, the big thing is staying healthy for him. If he's able to kind of keep getting healthy, I think that he's going to really get back on to scoring points and getting back. It's actually surprising how we've actually been able to stay relatively competitive with having some cold streaks, from Monahan, from Caufield, from Gallagher. Obviously, Anderson's, a no-brainer. But you have to feel like with the law of averages as well with Anderson, it's really like how Martin St. Louis says all the time, just get the right touches, play the game the right way, and you're going to get rewarded on the score sheet. Like getting those goals, those points is more just, a subsequent of just playing the game right, and everything else. So I think he's doing those little things, and that's what's nice. And even if it's getting involved, like, physically, just showing that you're in the game, that you care. And I think that's a big thing for him. Obviously, it's important to keep attacking the net for both these players, right? That's their bread and butter. As long as they're doing that, these are the type of places where you do score those goals, right? So, you got to feel for Anderson so much. But if you just kind of keep doing those right things, I feel like it'll bounce back, and we could be surprised. Like, he could go on a little bit of a run to really just kind of balance this out.
Yeah, I hope so. And he's the kind of player that very well could. I mean, the amount of zone entries he has is really great, right? And so he still does bring a lot of positive value. Of course, his physicality as well. Gallagher, while he's sometimes has gotten some penalties that maybe we wish he wouldn't have gotten, he can still bang away in front of the net, still get a few goals that way. And he's grinding away on like the second, third line. I think he's doing a decent job of it too. So really like those guys. I really, really hope they bounce back. It didn't mean to make you feel self-conscious. Don't worry, David. No, it wasn't self-conscious. I just didn't really look at because my monitors have different color balance, right? So one of them is brighter, the other one is warmer. So when I look at this, it looks warmer, but I know that anyway. So, you can see my light. I changed it. I have different settings, but this one looks a lot better. Don't worry about it. I actually really appreciate your comment. Gonna have to have a look through the chat here. There's a lot of stuff here. How many of your subs are from Slovakia? Oh, Camille. Good question. I'm not sure about the percentage of subscribers, but it is our third highest viewer base of any country outside of Canada and the United States, and for good reason. I mean, ahoy to all the Slovakian viewers who tune into our videos and our streams. Really appreciate all of you. I mean, it's such an amazing thing. I know Juraj is such a huge star over there, and yeah, I mean, we love him here as well. Everyone loves Juraj Slafkovsky. He is phenomenal. Galley's playing great. We got the Galley 701 games the hard way. What a grinder. He's playing great for sure. We're gonna change it up a little bit, Jesse. We've talked a bit about the game yesterday. Let's get into some trade talk. And look, it's the goalies, and we get Jake Allen getting the start today. I saw a lot of people actually before the stream started saying that, hey, they wish Jake Allen wasn't getting the start today, and it was Monty again to make a statement. And look, I get that when you look at these stats here for sure, but again, the Habs are looking to trade someone, and you gotta, like, Monty had 2 games back-to-back, and then Primeau played. This is going to be Jake Allen's first start in, I think, 4 or 5 games. I don't think you can just sit him to do nothing, because while he's had the worst statistics, I guess, on the team, he definitely has not been bad, and you need to showcase him, right? Jesse, after that Primeau performance last night, though, at the same time, I feel like if you're just talking about statistics and who is maybe the statistically most likely goalie to get moved, I feel like day by day it's just Jake Allen, and whether he has a really good performance or a really poor performance, I feel like it doesn't matter. I feel like if it's really good, they'll be like, oh, look, other teams will be willing to pay more. Or if it's really bad, it's just like, okay, well, Primeau is definitely the second goalie of the future. So I feel like no matter what, Allen is going to be tied to these rumors now.
It's true. But I find that Kent Hughes is doing such a great job on just being patient with all this, right? Because it definitely seems like Allen is the goalie that's going to be traded, but you want to see what you have in Primeau a little bit more. Like last night was a great game, but for myself, I don't want Kent Hughes trading a goalie tomorrow. I still want to see a little bit more, and let us know how you guys feel in the chat too, right? Because we've seen some good from Primeau. We've seen some bad, and we've seen some kind of in the middle. Now, last night was an amazing game. He played so well, but don't you kind of agree, Josh? Like, I'd like to get your opinion. Like, first, like, do you think that we should trade a goalie? And, like, do you find that Kent Hughes is good by being patient on this, or do you think he should have done this deal yesterday?
Look, I find it hard to actually give a tough, specific answer on that, because I feel like I need to know what he's getting offered, right? Like, I feel like there's no way that he hasn't at least had conversations with 2 or 3 or more teams about what it would take to give up Jake Allen, right? Or Cayden, Primeau, or whoever it might be. I feel like he's had to have those talks about, like, here's what we want, and if you want Allen, this is what you're going to have to give us. So I feel like the fact that a deal hasn't been done, I'd like to err on the side of it's Kent Hughes being careful and not rushing into a deal where he's not getting the return that he would like. Now, what risks do you run with that? Well, you run the risk of maybe Jake Allen really struggling. And again, he's a guy that when he plays a lot in a row, he can get hot. But when he's a guy that has kind of spot starts we've seen throughout his whole career, no matter where he's been, as the 1B, he can be a little inconsistent. So you run the risk of kind of lowering his stats and making him more of a lower selling candidate. So, but like objectively, I think the deal should have been done yesterday. I mean, if I'm to choose, just to give us more certainty in net for the guys like Monty and Primeau. But I mean, I also just feel like it's Kent Hughes making sure that he's getting the best return he can possibly get.
Definitely. It's last night's definitely helping his case, and I'm happy to see that, you've seen enough from Primeau. I think when you're making some big games like that, because we could say like some bad outings in other games, but it's like, that's not all him. As we know, we've had some troubles with turnovers. We haven't exactly, solved that problem yet, right? So it's not like we're being perfect in front of these goalies either. So I think that's really important to kind of judge when we are looking at all of this. But, you have to feel like it probably would help Primeau and probably even Montembeault by extension, right? If we're able to kind of get into a regular rhythm. And I think we're at the point now, like I get where a lot of Habs fans are saying of want to see Montembeault because like, we're kind of in the mix. Like we're playing the Nashville Predators, have a little bit of a better record tonight, but like not by much. Like the playoffs are within grasp. And we know in a city like Montreal, whenever that's kind of in grasp, we still want to play competitive, right? So that makes sense, right? So the more we are competitive, I think the more it lends to maybe a trade being done, a little bit sooner than later to kind of make sure that we can ice the best team we can every night.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you guys are already sick of Kent Hughes in the thumbnails, well, too bad. He's going to keep being there because these trade rumors are not going to stop anytime soon. But quickly, Jesse, and for all you guys watching, I kind of don't like to do this, but we got to do this because we are still sponsored, and we haven't done a stream in a while, but this stream is sponsored by Rentals.ca. Guys, Habs hockey is back. We usually got a big script for this, but we're going to kind of run a bit off the cuff here. But yeah, the Habs are moving into a new era with new young stars, and if you want to move into a new kind of life, new kind of style away from this boring white-tiled life, it's time to move with Rentals.ca. And as you guys know, they have a clean and easy-to-use website. You can find apartments, condos, houses, whatever you want, all across the country. And I don't think I have the link here. I'm actually going to go try and find the link for you guys real quick. But yeah, I mean, I'll put the link there. Really clean, easy to use website. Click on the map, neighborhood you want. And if it's time to move for you, check out Rentals.ca. Jesse, Rentals.ca has been amazing for us. I mean, I know we both like him. We both used him. I mean, it's pretty great having him as a sponsor, right?
Definitely. Anybody that's a fan of Jack Armstrong, is a fan of me for sure. They're awesome.
Exactly. We're super happy to have them as sponsors. And guys, if you're looking for your new place, check them out. Seriously, like they've been super, super helpful. I'm going to try and find the link here. I know a video that I did it in, so bear with me as I go try and, oh my goodness, we have a lot of videos, huh? Yeah, goodness. When was that trade? The Petrie trade. There was, that one there. So I'm going to pause that. I don't want so we're going to go here and we're going to copy this and then we're going to post that in the chat and boom. I think that should work. Thank you guys for sticking through that ad read, but we got to talk about it because we are sponsored and we are really, really appreciative that Rentals.ca has given us the platform and a lot of support to do this stuff. Jesse, so we're going to move on a bit from the trades. I wanted to talk a bit about Arber Xhekaj, and I saw these tweets from Mark Dumont today. I saw it on the Reddit, and I went and found his Twitter, and there was a couple of tweets that I wanted to bring up. He's saying, everyone is suggesting the Habs need Arber Xhekaj in the lineup because of fights, and I'm nodding along, but here's why I really want him in Montreal. No one comes close to his expected goals percentage, and look at every single defenseman that's played for Montreal this year. Arber Xhekaj is the only guy above a 50% expected goals for percentage, and expected goals for is basically like when you're on the ice, what's the odds that your team will score over the other team? So essentially, of all the Habs defensemen, Xhekaj is the only one, when he's on, that the Habs are more likely to score than their opponents. But he goes on to say, if we run the relative numbers, we can see that Struble does a good job driving the offense, and Xhekaj does a very good job defensively. You can see that the expected goals against, when Xhekaj's on the ice, other teams are expected to score almost a full goal less per 60 minutes, while when Struble's on, his team's expected to score about 0.4 goals for more every 60 minutes. So very interesting because that's kind of not how we see them, Jesse. We kind of saw Struble as the maybe more responsible defensive guy and Xhekaj is maybe having that heavier shot offensive thing, but I thought these stats were a bit eye-opening, especially the expected goals for Xhekaj compared to the other defensemen.
Makes for a good combo, that's for sure. But as we saw last night, very much to those numbers, Jayden Struble jumping into the play offensively, going to the net, making a very nice tip, to score his first goal in the NHL. So it's really amazing to see. And speaking of physicality, while we're on that subject, is I bet Jayden Struble can definitely drop the gloves too. Not to say that we're trying to replace Arber Xhekaj by any means. Like, I'm so happy that Mark Dumont was talking about this and just like how valuable and Arber Xhekaj is. Again, like we were talking about earlier, it's so easy to just kind of judge things really quickly and forget about all that he's actually done for this team and in really his short tenure, So he's really the stabilizing force just on our decor with being such a young kind of guy, right? And somebody that in a lot of ways you can count on, and very much like a lot of our other young D-men they're still learning. It takes time, being a defenseman in the NHL, especially a younger player, it normally takes a little bit more time to develop there. So he's doing really good, all things being said, so it's great to see that he really does, provide a stabilizing effect. But like, we know that he's got that offensive game. We know that he's got that hard wrist shot that can get to the net as well when he needs to.
Yeah, it's a hard, heavy shot. And like, look, these two guys, like, it's kind of just awesome that we have two guys that I know they're not identical for sure. And actually these advanced stats show that they give quite different impacts. But still, like, they're two physical defenders, and that's still what you want. Like, especially on a team like the Habs that we've said many, many times before, don't have that many physical guys. And while Reinbacher's showing a lot of physical flashes now, even some of the other prospects, like Elaine Hudson's not that physical. And you got Matheson, you got Barron, Guhle's a little bit. But having these guys is very important. And I know a lot of Habs fans were upset, and we were kind of upset that when Xhekaj was sent down to Laval, his first game wasn't great. His second game was much better. I mean, like Hockey Junkie said in his recent video, this guy bleeds for the team. He bleeds Montreal Canadiens. He bleeds Bleu, Blanc, et Rouge. And I'd love to see him back on the team very soon, Jesse. But, like, I find it tough. Like, I want to hear everyone in chat's opinions as well, and your opinion, like, when we're talking about Xhekaj coming back, because I think that's inevitable. Like, I don't see a world where he stays down in Laval. I think he's too good for that. What do we do? Like, in your order of, like, what you would rather the Habs do, would you say maybe send Struble down because he's a bit younger and we can just keep getting him good reps in the AHL? Do you like trade one of your defensemen, someone like a Harris or someone else to try and free up some space ahead? Do you trade like a Mike Matheson like we were talking about? He's on that top 20 TSN trade bait. Do you go out of your way to make room for Xhekaj, or do you kind of just let the team ride the way it is, let Struble continue to play the way he is now, and kind of keep Xhekaj in the AHL until maybe room comes available? I don't know. I feel like it's just such a difficult decision.
I feel like Arber Xhekaj is really valued by this organization. So if push comes to shove, they'll absolutely make room for him. But it's more to the point of, kind of our development of as we want it. We're having the youth movement. We're having that young core that we're kind of developing. And it's very interesting right now with the timing of David Savard, right? He was at practice. He was on that third pairing with Jonathan Kovacevic. Like, with him coming back and playing some games, then now we start getting into a place where we can potentially trade, David Savard, as well as I see as Jonathan Kovacevic very much being a trade option. I see one of those two guys potentially being one of our next moves, right? Just if you look at our decor, it's like, we like what we're seeing from Struble. He's a young guy. Okay, this fits the vision of a team. This is somebody we're keeping. Arber Xhekaj, yeah, he's having his problems right now, but he's no stranger to adversity. He's going to bounce right back, So who's really the odd man out? We know we have some people that are looking to come as soon as the end of the season, and Lane Hudson, like, it really seems like a far way away, but it's really not, and we're going to need to start kind of making some room for that now, whether it's on right hand or on left hand right now. Nobody's really safe. But I feel like, Mike Matheson for sure is somebody who we want to keep on this team. So that's why I'm really looking at David Savard. I'm really looking at Jonathan Kovacevic. And again, we appreciate all of our Habs and what they do, because hockey's not an easy sport. They're putting their bodies out on the line every single night. But we're seeing those little mistakes from Jonathan Kovacevic where it's like, you got to believe when you're making those mistakes a little bit more, you start becoming more and more expendable. The more that those things kind of tend to happen. It has been a current trend. I know I've kind of spoken with you a little bit about that personally. So it'll be interesting to see where this lines up. But you have to feel like, a lot of teams are looking for some defensemen right now. We obviously have a plethora. We need to make some room for some young guys. So, I see that being one of our next moves besides the obvious goalie situation that we need to resolve.
Yeah, for sure. And before I give you the response, we got a super chat We got our first super chat of the stream.
Oh,
Thank you,
no.
George. It's George, as always. Oh, love you, George. Thank you so much. Thanks, Josh, Jesse, and friends. It's so nice to feel heard. It takes a special group of people like this. This is the best channel 100%. And
Man.
that's something that we love to promote to you guys. Like, we love the positivity. We love bringing a positive vibe to Habs coverage, which can often be very negative. And I know you guys really like that as well. And of course, George, you have been one of the top guys here day in and day out with your amazing comments. I'm so glad the community has not only rallied around you, but rallied around the Montreal Canadiens in a time where we're riddled by injuries, near the bottom of the standings last year. This year, we're making a better push. We really like to bring this positive vibe, and we love that the community is doing that as well. So everyone, give a shout out to George, as always. Thank you so much. Really generous. Thank you for the donation. But yeah, Jesse, we talked a bit about Kovacevic, and when we're talking about defensive mistakes like that, I know Justin Barron has been prone to them as well. Now, yesterday, he directly was responsible for that Kyle Okposo goal. And what I kind of liked from Marty is I feel like they're giving Barron a bit of a longer leash, because he was right back out there. He cost the team the game-tying goal in the third period, and he was right back out there. And I feel like that is sending quite a good message to the rest of the team. I saw Arpen Basu tweet about that as well, kind of saying like, you know what, you're going to mess up, but get right back out there and prove me wrong. And I kind of like that too. But when you're talking about a guy like Kovacevic, who's maybe a little older, who like you said, is maybe a bit more expendable than Barron, you'll maybe look at those mistakes a different way. But at the same time, like, not that. Again, he was apparently the top game score guy last night. I feel like with him, it's very interesting because he's just been so solid. He's had his mistakes. He's been solid. And I wonder also what his trade value actually is. Do we value him too high, too low as a fan base, as an organization? It's so difficult to tell. But I think you're right on with David Savard. They actually interviewed him, the pregame presser, and he was kind of saying like his hand is good. It's fully healed. He said there's still soreness. It's not going to go away in a day or two, but he should be back very soon. He seemed to be in good spirits. He said, I really like the direction the team is going. And of course, Quebecois, like, you're like, oh man, do we want to move him? But I like your point on Savard. And I think that he brings so many things, not only to this team, but to hockey that teams want, right? It was last time the Habs played Buffalo that he had that insane shift where he broke his hand and had one of the best defensive sequences of the season in the NHL. What do you think it does to a team to lose maybe a guy like that, kind of a home province guy? He's a Quebec guy. He's playing for the Montreal Canadiens, putting his body on the line every single night. Last year was up there at the league lead in block shots. As much as I agree, he maybe does not fit their long-term plans. I know the NHL is a business. It gotta hurt when you're talking about trading a guy like that.
It's true. And when you ask like the effect that it has on this team, it does have a big effect, because we're such a young decor when you're kind of losing somebody like that. Somebody who just provides a little bit of experience back there. It's like, it makes it tough for these young guys, right? Because I mean, the NHL, it's a really fast league. You're still kind of getting used to the speed. You're under pressure all the time. To have a vet guy kind of beside you who's used to kind of doing this a little bit more, that can kind of slow the game down for you, make it a little bit easier on you. I mean, it's just really, puts these young prospects that we have and young players, really kind of puts them into a pressure cooker. But in a lot of ways, they've been responding. It's putting a little bit more pressure on them, but that's how you grow, right? And it's so nice to see from Martin St. Louis that he is giving that longer leash, because he's understanding, okay, we are missing some guys. And I think what the big thing about Martin St. Louis is, like, it's not about making mistakes, but like, what's the nature of your mistake? Like for Barron, it was very much like an honest, he just kind of got tripped up on his feet kind of thing like that. We've seen some other mistakes for him, but it's like, he's trying to make a play. And Martin St. Louis likes to reward players trying to make a play. Definitely there's like a limit for that, but he'd rather kind of reward that than, kind of punish players from trying to make reads, as he said this entire time. So what's so nice about Martin St. Louis, he's actually so consistent into his coaching and like what he says. If he says, this is my philosophy with the players, this is what he sticks to, even going from last year now. So, I mean, that's really refreshing, I'm sure, for the players to know that they have a coach where it's like, they feel like, okay, I can't just, if I make one mistake, I'm just going to be benched and it's just the end of the world. Like, there is a certain point he will kind of call you out. But, as we know with this young team, I think, and rightfully so, there is a little bit of a leeway there.
Yeah, I think so too, and I think a good thing about Marty is something that we've kind of seen. Look, we know lots of every player responds in a different way, right? Some players thrive under that pressure cooking environment where you need to be benched after a quick mistake or else you're not going to learn. Some players work a lot better with a coach who's more understanding and gives you more opportunities to prove yourself. Not every player works the same way. Everyone has a different mindset, everyone has a different attitude, but one thing I think we've seen from Coach Marty is that he's not afraid to be a disciplinary coach and be kind of intimidating, but he's also not afraid to be buddy buddy with the players, laugh with them, and show them, hey, no, I care. Like that Barron thing. Go out and try again. Like seriously, right? He's not afraid to give opportunities, but he's not afraid to be tough on them as well. And I think he's really learning as the days and weeks and months go by, which players respond best to which type of feedback. And I think that's really, really helping this organization. But it is time to move. Shout out rentals.ca. Again, rentals.ca. I'm going to paste that in the chat again. Thank you, rentals.ca. Time to move on to the next topic. And the next topic is a bit of a pregame, Jesse. We got a game tonight. And like another one, right? As we said, the Habs haven't fared well in back-to-back so far this season. This is just the Predators lineup. They actually, this is their team so far this year. You can take a look at who's playing well. Filip Forsberg having another fantastic season. Ryan O'Reilly is just not aging. Well, I mean, he's 32, so I guess still kind of in his prime. Jossi's still amazing. But the big thing is Jussi Saros. Kevin Lankinen went net last night against the Leafs, and they got stumped. I think it was 4-0. You got to think the Predators are going to come out fighting against Montreal tonight. And Arben Basu actually just tweeted a few minutes ago there's some lineup changes for the Predators. Michael McCarron, Habs' first-round pick in 2013, is back in the lineup for Cody Glass, and Dante Fabro comes in for Luke Schenn. And Jussi Saros should be in goal. That makes a lot of sense. Luke Schenn is actually a very physical presence, so I don't mind the fact that he's not in there, especially with Xhekaj out. Jesse, what do you think the key is for Montreal heading into this game versus Nashville to come out strong and kind of fight against this pretty solid team? Because for a Montreal team that has not won the second night of a back-to-back yet this season, they've looked a little slower. They're a young, quick team, and I feel like they really need to jump out to a nice early lead against Nashville to get this win. What do you think they need to do to accomplish that?
It's about limiting their turnovers. And we saw in last night's game, really a lot of their philosophy was about puck possession. Trying to hold on to the puck as much as possible, trying to make the safe play as much as possible, get your right line changes and everything else. So I feel like that's going to be really important for them. But again, this team kind of lives and dies off of their first line, as we've seen after the last couple games. And let us know in the comments if you guys are seeing this too. But it's like how the first line is doing, the rest of the team is doing. Now, in our last two games, we've had very solid first periods. So that's great to see that we're kind of starting off the game well. Now that's going to be about just carrying that all the way through. And a big reason why we're having those solid first periods is our first line was playing so well, notably Juraj Slafkovsky. It's so amazing to say that he was looking like the best player playing alongside Nick Suzuki and Cole Caufield, that he was looking better than them on those nights. Like, it's crazy to say, but it's true. We have to give him credit to where it's doing that way, right? So it's really all about that, is for them, like, not just having that solid first period, that solid second half of that second period, but really getting that full game kind of consistent pressure, right? I think that's going to be so key from them. It's interesting though, some lineup changes that we have with actually Evans is going to be centering that second line, just a slight little alteration between Monahan and Anderson there. So that's interesting to see, but Evans is a guy I always kind of believe in, but I think it's all about just, we're playing our best, like when we're playing safe, like as much as possible for right now, like, okay, getting in the zone, using our speed, but just really not hurting ourselves, because the biggest thing has been the turnovers. Can we limit just the self-inflicted sort of injuries, right? And I think that'll be so big for us, because if not, then we're going to give ourselves a very good chance of winning this game.
Yeah, for sure, because the turnovers, oh man, yesterday's game, the turnovers for both teams was terrible in the first 20 minutes. But that's a very good point. It's funny because we talk a lot about how the Habs thrive in transition, thrive with a bit of a faster play style. But while they were buying into that, they became a little more sloppy. So there's there's controlled, there's safe, there's fast. But I think you're very right. When the Habs play safe and they take advantage of the opportunities when they get them, that's when they're at their best, right? When you eliminate those own zone, defensive zone turnovers, but you can also break into the offensive zone when you get the chance. Like we're seeing Suzuki, we're seeing like guy Slafkovsky, 6'4", 225, and he's just getting zone entries like crazy, breaking through 2-3 defensemen. Like that, but not 3 defensemen, 2-3 players. But yeah, like that kind of stuff is so key. Yeah, so I think you're very right. I think if they can play a nice safe game against Nashville, it'll be important. But I also think they need to get the puck to the net more, and Slav has done a really good job of that. I'd like to see a few more shots from Habs defensemen, and I know that the Habs are like leading the league, or still up there near the top for defenseman points and goals. But I felt like in that game against Buffalo, there wasn't that many shots from the point, and I feel like at this point, like against a team like Nashville, I mean against a good goalie like UC Saros, you just want to get pucks on them because the Habs are getting outshot in almost every game. You got to just put pucks on the net, and I know we're getting great chances, but we got to convert on them. And I'm seeing some people talk about predictions here. Gonna have a look through some of them. People ask for predictions. For you 2NV family says, I say we win 4-2. We got George saying, I think we win 3-1. Someone asked, is Slaf on line 1? Yes, he absolutely is. And also on the power play 1. Slaf's on the first. Thanks for letting you know. Yeah, no problem. Pez is taking Pearson's spot in the lineup. Good to see him get the promotion. Yeah, I mean, love Pezzetta. I mean, he's that guy that's going to fill in any single night. I'm still waiting to see when Rafael Harvey-Pinard is going to be healthy, because he's kind of a guy that we've sort of forgotten about. He's another huge impact guy, right? But yeah, it's going to be nice. Oh yeah, well, you got a comment there. Where's RHP? Still hurt, unfortunately. Monty PL says Pez is useless. Disagree. Pez is so good on the forecheck. You look at those metrics when it was him, Evans, and RHP. That line was one of the best forechecking lines in the entire NHL. Like they were crazy for like pinning other teams in their own defensive zone. I'm gonna make a prediction, Jesse, and then I'm gonna ask you for yours. What do you think the final score of this game is going to be, and who do you think scores? I think this is going to be a close game. I'm going to stay positive. I'm going to predict Montreal gets their first back-to-back win of the season. I'm going to say they win 3-2 in regulation. And I'm going to say Slafkovsky gets a goal. I'm going to say Caufield gets a goal. And I'm going to say that, who do I want to score the other one? Cayden Guhle. I think we're going to see a Slafkovsky, Caufield, and Cayden Guhle goal in a 3-2 win. What about you?
Oh, that's solid. That's solid. I'll go with a 3-2 win for ourselves in overtime.
In overtime, okay.
Because that's how we do. I'm gonna go with Barron. Because we know we can get those points. I'm gonna get Matheson in there, and then I'm gonna get Suzuki because he's been playing hot. Of late, he's kind of keeping going. But of course, I would love, and I would not be surprised at all if we see Slaf getting on the scoreboard, whether it's some points. Like, I feel like his good play is going to continue. He's giving me that confidence now where it's like, we're starting to know what to expect from him. And that's just so exciting. Like, it's like, okay, not just one game of now he's linking these good performances together. I actually love for him that we're having this back-to-back right now, that he's just going to get this chance, get right back to it. I think it's going to help with him just getting the flow of the game and everything else. I'm really expecting a really big game from him tonight.
Yeah, I agree. But I will say, I think that this game is going to heavily depend on Jake Allen. Again, hasn't played in like a week, if not more. And so you're always a bit wary when a goalie hasn't played in that long, especially a guy like Allen, who historically through his career, sometimes look, he's an NHL goalie and he's very good. He's going to come in and he's going to put up, I'd say, a good performance. But it all depends, right? 1 or 2 week goals like Habs goalies over the past couple of years have been prone to, that can really swing the momentum. So we're gonna have to wait and see. But yeah, I think it'll be a nice win for Montreal. And just before we end off, I want to take a look through some of the chats. I mean, a lot of you guys have been so amazing. Thank you for the support. We're gonna call this in a couple minutes because I know Jesse got to go. I got to run, get some stuff done. But really appreciate you guys tuning in. I got some comments here. Gary says Dvorak's not playing his best hockey with the Habs. What do you think? I think Dvorak has been good. I think that, I don't know if I would say his best hockey with the Habs, but it's tough to say. I feel like Dvorak's one of those guys that I feel like every single game he gives a very similar impact. I feel like his consistency is quite good, but I feel like he's never at like the highest level of the impact charts. But I think he's been solid, and he's one of those guys that you don't always notice. He's not always creating the most offensive chances, but he's very defensively responsible. He's solid on the faceoff dot, good enough for sure. And I feel like he doesn't make very many mistakes relative to maybe some other guys. What have you thought about Devo, Jesse?
Yeah, it's a solid point that you make. I think that his teammates like him a lot. Like, you'll hear from Cole Caufield and everything else like that, even though they don't play together all the time. His comments are that he makes it easier for his other line mates just because he's off in those right spots. And that is important, right? It's like we can't just have everybody, we need a little bit of balance, right? For people to jump in on the offense a little bit more. So he's often that guy that's yeah, he's not he's a little bit more behind the scenes, right? But that being said, we always expect a little bit more, but just because we know that he's a good player, like that's all wise. Like we see the talent that he has. So sometimes we just want to see a little bit more of that. But that being said, like we have seen some good things from him of the last couple games. I've been seeing like he's impressed me a little bit more than I was expecting. So of course I'm happy to see his game. I would say slightly improving over time.
Yeah, for sure. It's been really good. Just gonna have a quick last look through here. We got 3-1 says George, Caufield, Anderson, and Guhle. Oh, we got a couple of the similar ones. You got Anderson scoring over Slav, but we have very similar ones. You got some people saying Habs lost, and yeah, I mean let's be honest, it is kind of likely based on the record this season, but staying positive, right? 5-3 Preds, 4-3 Habs, Caufield OT winner. Love that stuff. Ulanen's a nice surprise for sure. Allen doesn't seem too happy right now. Yeah, I know it's tough for him. I love your show. Get a kick out of how Jesse just keeps smiling when you, Josh, get so excited about things. Yeah, we saw that in yesterday's video where we like to stay smiley here, and Jesse has the best smile in all of Habs YouTube. In fact, all of YouTube in general. So we like to keep the positivity flowing. You should do more pregame. I'd rather watch you than Hockey 360. Well, hey, thank you very much. I mean, we don't often have that much time for it, but hey, we had some time today. It's a Sunday afternoon, and we really appreciate all you guys coming in here. And yeah, seriously, like, thank you guys so much for tuning in. 1,361 total views, 250 people in here for the full thing. Really appreciate it. And before we go, guys, everyone listening right now, hey, listen, look at me. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Really would appreciate that. Again, it pushes the video. I know I asked for that a lot, but you guys also got to understand that we want to push our stuff out to as many Habs fans as we can. And if you guys really enjoy our content, like so many of you guys do, hitting that subscribe and hitting that like not only helps us, but it pushes us to every other Habs fan that might also enjoy our content. So we really sincerely appreciate every single one of you. But for now, that'll do it for this stream episode of Habs Digest. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. We are on the road to 10,000. You guys have been supporting like crazy recently. We really appreciate every single one of you. I'm Josh Gosse for my co-host, Jesse Poirier. We'll catch you in the next one.